Hi friends! My name is Susie Lytle. I'm an interpretive naturalist with the Forest Preserve District of Will County. And on this episode, we're going to time travel to the settlement house at Riverview Farmstead. Then we're going to paddle the waterways near Four Rivers Environmental Education Center to get up close and personal with American Lotus. And then we're going to buzz on over to Goodnow Grove Nature Preserve to check on the beehives. Are you ready for our adventure on this episode of The Buzz? Hi, we're here at Riverview Farmstead Preserve, and I'm with Amy Heller, who is an interpretive naturalist at the Allagash Museum in Romeoville. And Amy, you lead tours here, so what can you tell us about the preserve?
Yeah, so this is the Riverview Farmstead Preserve. It is 387 acres in South Naperville, right along the DuPage River, along with all of these structures that are from the 1800s, from the original family that were here.
The indication of everything I found speaks to a very well-educated fellow. So Thomas Clow gets my applause for what he put together here.
Let's give.
And it is very possible that they had a high degree of knowledge of geometry, and this building speaks it loud and clear. I love the details that he set in stone on his building. One of the features is the corners. The corner stones are called coins. Thomas Clow put them not just on the corners of the building, but he put them on the corners of the door and the windows. And these are actually carved pieces of stone that are not individually laid. The ones around the windows and the doors are actually tall pieces of single pieces of stone that were carved. There's a very strict proportioning system that I discovered on the facade of the building. He was so picky, he picked out stone that laid out two stones within each alternating coin. So again, it speaks to him being so diligent, so strict with the mason and the people who built it. So when he quarried this stone, he planned on a particular size course. This is a course. This is another course. Here's two more courses. So he put 2 and 2 and 2 and 2. Now guess what? A 21-foot square and a 21-foot square. 2. This man used particular numbers to the nth degree. I don't think it's random. And it also helps in the structure. More uneven courses would be a problem stability-wise. So it adds to the strength to be more uniform whenever you're building a building. He built this first, from what I understand in the history. So 1863, he put this building on, but I believe he already knew and had planned that he was going to add this.
Add this extra part, right.
From what I've discovered in just measuring the building up, it's highly unlikely that this was randomly tacked on 2 or 3 years later. I think this was very well planned out to receive this within a few years. So he knew he was going to be doing this.
Okay.
So the layout of the smaller building actually has some of the mathematics that are actually included in this one. This stone to this day is in almost perfect condition.
Yeah, looks like it.
So this is a much higher quality limestone. I'm told that it possibly came from Joliet somewhere where they had a much denser stone. Whereas this stone, you can see since 1865, it's fairly pitted. Well, this is called spalling. This is a less dense stone, and the surface over time,
yeah, you can see it.
it's absorbed water and then freeze thaw, and with the sun cooking it and just weather in general, it breaks off. So you can see this wearing. So this is a little more inferior stone. And what I guess the history of the house says, this is DuPage River Valley limestone. This is probably one of the best examples of Georgian architecture in the area. Thomas Clow was bringing his heritage here. So I think Georgian architecture to me speaks loudly of his past. And then he wanted us also to know that classical architecture, in his mind, was a statement of how he ran his life and how he felt about life in general. I think it's an astute study in a man's character.
Amy, if people at home want to come visit these buildings, this preserve, how can they do that?
Yeah, well, these buildings are here, so anytime the preserve is open, you're more than free to walk the trails here. We have information panels in front of each of the buildings that tells the history and about the family and the buildings as well. But also just follow us on the website, reconnectwithnature.org, for upcoming events that we'll be out here for and have the buildings open.
Do you love dogs? Or do you love helping dogs? The Forest Preserve District of Will County is featuring our local dogs enjoying the dog parks in a 2021 calendar. This calendar is $15, including shipping and taxes, and all proceeds go to help the Will County Humane Society. This is the county's oldest no-kill shelter, and they're solely surviving on donations, so your help is truly appreciated. You can order these calendars on willcountydogs.org. Deadline is November 13th, so don't waste any time. Bring these dogs to your house, and they make great gifts too, perfect for the holidays. You can see behind me the American Lotus. It's really great to have a view on shore, but let's dive in to get a closer look. Hi, welcome to McKinley Woods. We're paddling on the Des Plaines River and we are immersed in the American Lotus. These are tall growing plants that are found in shallow areas, so we're kind of in the backwaters of Des Plaines to find a huge colony of these plants. American Lotus like full sun, shallow waters with sandy and muddy bottoms. You can see here this is a prime location. When they find a spot they like, they tend to dominate. This makes great habitat for waterfowl and fish nurseries underneath the water. These are not free-floating plants like duckweed. These guys are rooted in and they're not going anywhere. They're rooted by rhizomes. So rhizomes are long horizontal stems that send down roots for support and shoots for more leaves for a bigger colony. American Lotus look awfully a lot like water lilies. So how do you tell the difference? You look at the leaves. Water lilies are famous for those lily pads that have the notch in them or a slit. Our American Lotus leaves are fully round. The flowers are also different colors. So our American Lotus flowers are pale yellow, where lilies tend to be white, pinks, and violets. Here's a little Disney trivia for you. Any Princess and the Frog fans? Princess Tiana's dress was inspired by the American Lotus. If you picture it, it's upside down flower with leaves on top. These plants are ultra hydrophobic, so that means they're really great at repelling water. When you splash on the leaves, the water balls up and rolls right off. American Lotus are thermoregulators, so that means that they can maintain their own heat. Research thinks that they can heat up their flower to spread the scent out to attract more pollinators. So this would be like us lighting a candle to get a nice flowery smell throughout our household. These flowers stand tall above the water. They sport a pretty pale yellow color. They're big flowers with about 22 petals, and inside they have this big seed pod, almost looks like a shower head, called a receptacle. This is where all the petals and the plant is connected. This flower blooms for 2 days. The first day it opens up and it's only for the female stigma, so it doesn't self-pollinate. It closes at night, and then the second day it opens, and then it loses all of its petals. Then only the seed pod shows. The seed pods in the flower start yellow and kind of spongy. As they age, they turn green, and at the very end, they turn brown where the seeds are held. You may recognize these seed pods in floral arrangements, but inside each hole lays a seed. These seeds look like acorns, and the cool thing about them is that they're viable for decades. So if the season's not quite right, they can hold out for years. So some researchers found that seeds can last 200 to 400 years before growing again. The seeds are eaten by waterfowl. Muskrats and beavers eat the rhizomes. They provide shelter for the fish nurseries, and of course get pollinated by bees and beetles. So this plant is great to have for wildlife. So I encourage you to come out here on Des Plaines River and explore for yourself and see the American lotus in person. If you want a little help, come visit Four Rivers Environmental Education Center. The staff there have lots of interactive programs, including paddle tours, pelican pursuits, and things all year long. Now let's slow down for a moment of Zen. Attention hikers, are you looking for new trails to explore this fall? Let's take a moment to learn about our very popular program, Woods Walk.
The days are getting cooler, and it's the perfect time to get moving in the great outdoors with this year's Woods Walk Challenge. This self-paced hiking challenge means you can tackle it how you want to, when you want to. Go solo and use it to get some stress-free alone time, or bring a friend. The 10 trails have something for everyone. From cool tree canopies, colorful native plants, wide open views, or a dose of history, you're sure to see plenty of cool things along the way. Pick up a hiking guide at any of our 5 visitor centers, then hit the trails. Turn in your travel log after completing 7 or more of the hikes to receive your collector's medal. So hop to it and start exploring. Map your next adventure at reconnectwithnature.org.
And now let's get busy with the bees. We'll check on the hardworking girls, see how the honey's doing, and if we're lucky, marking the queen. I'm suited up here at Goodnow Grove Nature Preserve. We are at our beehives. We're here to mark the queen today. With me I have Kate Codwell, our interpretive naturalist at Plum Creek Nature Center, and our resident beekeeper, Mike Resnick. So let's take it off to Kate.
We have our wonderful beekeeper, Mike Resnick, who's going to be showing us how to mark a queen. Why are we doing this? Because outside we have these beehives that replenish our indoor hive at Plum Creek Nature Center. Why do we have an indoor hive at Plum Creek Nature Center? Because people can come in and get up close with the honeybees And the honeybees are a really good connection to all of our pollinators that we so very much need everywhere on planet Earth.
The queen got moved to the observation hive, so our support hive had to make a new queen. I came out here to inspect and I seen that they were making a new queen. The queen that got moved inside, she's not marked. She's there, but it takes me sometimes an hour to find her. If she had this blue dot on her, we'd be able to find her very quickly and easily. And a lot of people ask this question. They look at the queen and they see the dot on her and they say, oh, she was born like that? No, you have to paint that dot on her. I pick her up, I put her in a cage, it's a marking cage, and I go ahead and I mark her. Each year is a different color so that you know how old the queen is. And it goes from white, yellow, red, green, blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. This is 0, it's blue. I've got a blue marker. We're going to find her and we're going to mark her. This is the hive that we're going to be going into, and we're looking for the queen in here. I know that it's messed up. There's brood up on the top. The brood should all be on the bottom. So I'm going to be rearranging frames and putting it back together, getting it ready for winter. So let's go in here and see what's going on. There's one queen usually in every hive, at least. If they don't have a queen, any of the girls that are in there, the girl eggs, can become a queen. They just feed her a very rich diet for a longer period of time, and she grows much faster and develops the reproductive organs. The normal worker does not do that. The normal worker is not fed the same diet so that she doesn't become a queen. So because they had no queen, they picked out several of the girls and they said, we're going to turn you into a queen. And the strongest one of those girls is the one that becomes the queen. She's much bigger than the others, and it just comes with experience to find her. So if I look on this side, nothing has been drawn out on this frame at all. It's just a plastic foundation. I come over to this side, I can see that it's started to get drawn out. I see some shininess in here, that's nectar. I see some capped honey over here. I wouldn't expect her to be on this frame. I'd expect her to be on a frame where there's some freshly laid eggs. And that could be multiple frames. On this next frame that I pull out, it's almost all capped honey. Down on the bottom is nectar. Over on this side, it's all capped honey. The brood is the babies. And if you notice, you see these great big bumps down at the bottom. That's drone brood, that's the boys. The rest of the hive is all girls. Notice all of the bees that are on the top here. Look what happens after they get smoked. They're all running to get food. This year's honey, and I'm going to have our interpretive naturalist, Susie, try to give it a taste.
Oh, I'm so excited. Okay.
And pick a spot where there's no bees. Dig your finger in real deep.
Like where it's capped?
Yeah. Real deep, real deep. There you go.
Ready? Get it in there. It's so good!
So what you're going to do is you're going to put a paint dot here just to practice. Okay, so just a little dot,
Okay.
and you're going to put it right on that black spot there. So we marked the drone because we couldn't find the queen.
Well, it's good practice, right?
It's good practice. So I've marked the drone and I put the drone on this frame, and can you find the one that's got the blue dot on it? It's actually a little bit easy. It's in that upper right corner.
Thank you so much, Mike, for taking us on a journey through the hive, looking for the queen, the ups and the downs. I was on a roller coaster the whole time, and that honey was delicious. So Kate, lead us out. I know we have honeybees here, but what about our native bees? What about the rest of the pollinators? You know, I hear that they're declining. What can we do to help them?
Well, first of all, they are declining because habitat just isn't there anymore. And the other thing that they're struggling with are pesticides. So here's what you guys can do, what everybody can do. Plant native plants. And here's the thing, make sure when you plant native plants that they have no pesticides in them. If you buy native plants, you ask wherever you are, do these native plants have any pesticide in them or on them? They have to be pesticide free. So it's really that simple. And then get your neighbors around you to do the same thing. So you have like this nature corridor for our native bees to not just be in your yard, but in all other yards, and increase the habitat, because we need the pollinators and you can do it.
Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you learned a little bit more history, more botany, and more about those oh so important bees. Now, if you want to learn about our preserves and upcoming programs near you, go to reconnectwithnature.org to map your next adventure. I hope to see you on the trails, but until then, I'll see you on the next episode of The Buzz.